In Wilmington and in Carson, there are a lot of people who live right next to an oil drilling site, and they experience a lot with asthma, birth defects, cancer, and sometimes people don't really know that the big thing that they have behind their backyard is causing these problems. Refineries are also very common here. There's 5 big refineries here in our neighborhoods. I live currently next to the biggest refinery, just called Marathon, and normally in the night, it looks like a whole entire different city because there's a lot of lights, there's a lot of smoke that comes out, there's a lot of like flaring too. That is not supposed to happen, but it does happen. And living next to the refinery it shouldn't be normalized. I remember last year in 2021, there was an earthquake here in Carson. And I actually lived really close to the epicenter. And I remember I heard a big bang and I was like, what is that? And I went on Twitter right away and I found out that there was actually something happening at the Marathon refinery. I had no idea what it was. And I just remember going outside and there was a lot of black smoke. Not a lot of people knew. And here in Carson, these refineries actually don't tell the community what's happening. You have to wait until you hear something in the news. And they don't really share any emergency routes or any escape routes. They don't share anything. I remember going outside and just seeing my neighbors. We were all confused. We had no idea what was going on. That's what it is living here in Carson. You're not really aware of what's going on. I just hope that the communities here in the South Bay get to see a cleaner environment, in their lifetime. I just wish we can go to school and literally see trees instead of a big refinery.
These infrastructures, they create this impact on people that, essentially it affects their whole life. You see these kind of infrastructures in the form of oil wells and refineries and oil pipelines that are underground. They're under people's backyards, under their houses. So through time, these oil wells become a ticking time bomb. It's hot crude oil that passes through these outdated pipelines. They get thinner and thinner, and eventually you have situations which have happened where the oil seeps through people's backyards. You run the risk of children who, being children, they like playing the dirt in the grass, and they're gonna end up playing with that oil too. That is toxic to them. Eventually, these oil structures, I wouldn't even call them structures, I would just call them ticking time bombs. The industry is not taking care of or managing these structures. If I recall, there was an incident on Neptune Street in Wilmington where the oil actually seeped through people's grass front yards, and there were literally kids playing. And people came for cleanup and they came in hazmat suits, but at the same time, there were still community members out there without the protection. The fact that our community is being sacrificed for corporate profits, from the oil industry, it definitely feels horrible, because my health is being compromised for what? A corporation that doesn't exactly care for the community. It feels frustrating because why should I bear the burden of something that I have no fault in, right? We're challenging this environmentally racist system that has been put in place to hold us back, but where we're pushing against it by, the advocacy in our community, by empowering youth, by making sure people are educated on the issues that affect our very communities. We're advocating to make sure that we have clean air, clean water, and clean soil. Those are some of the basic things that we need in life. We don't own Mother Earth. Mother Earth owns us. If we're not taking care of Mother Earth, we will see the consequences of that.
One of my first memories is my Tesoro Refinery multiplication pencil. We got in third grade. If you passed your rounds, the teacher was giving us a gift from one of our sponsors, because they cared about our education. They just don't necessarily care about our health. Yeah, I mean, the exposure to oil industry, royalties, and goods has always been present in Wilmington. We are worth more than this, every single one of us, and we have been diluted to believe, because of these industries' power and money and access, to believe that anything good that we get in Wilmington as residents has to be because of the refineries and the oil drilling sites. I've been in so many areas and spaces where I've heard youth testify and say, I've been able to apply to universities and colleges, and I've been able to get access to work because of these industries. It's a really dangerous and extractive narrative. It makes our community members divide and have a very this versus them dynamic, and it has folks believe that you can only succeed in Wilmington if you have oil industry money, and that's not true. You can succeed in Wilmington if you have community, you have support, you have agency. We are the most important resource here, and we are not going to let anybody tell us that the most important thing to come from Wilmington is something that's being extracted from the ground. In order for us to thrive, we have to build power and we have to shift it in order for us to be able to be free from the impacts of the fossil fuel industry and be free of these systems that rely on white supremacy, on money, just being extractive to people of color.